Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Season Network, the platform where we speak truth to power. Just quickly looking at this, you can see there's mess and poor management, government money, everything that's wrong with this situation. People are building in the wrong places. There's no functioning regulation. Nothing is working in Nigeria. Case in point, let's listen to this.
More important than property? What's the value of property?
Lives are more important than livelihoods.
We hope and pray that there will be no disaster, there will be no tragedy.
Look at this.
When such things occur, people who are alive to tell the story
Poor
are
planning.
always grateful, for being alive to tell the story. So I guess the intervention.
For example, I'm going to try and find out what that local area is, and I will then get the monthly allocation for that area, just to give you an idea. We need to be actively chasing this ourselves. Don't wait for anybody telling you, or when it gets to the news, begin to work in your own area. It's impacting our lives. We need to be, we're the ones to whom ultimately sovereignty belongs, and we need to use that power to get the things we need to stop this kind of waste and wanton loss of life and property.
That the authorities are offering at this time is to prevent what may seem like the inevitable, maybe not in the short term, but perhaps in the long term. But if we looked at the Trademore story a bit more closely, Ayo, we should be asking the Federal Capital Development Authority some questions because of the explanation provided by the Trademore estate residents themselves. They say they have the approval. There is nothing like being illegal, that they got their approval, under the administration of the FCT, under, the former immediate past governor of Kaduna State and former minister of the FCT, Nasir El-Rufai, that they have their documents. So if they have their documents, perhaps it would be important at this point in time to present their documents before the FCD authorities. And who are the officials of the ministry at the time that gave the approval, or that watched while the developer built up until we have this mass of houses in Trademore Estate? These are the critical questions. Somebody was not doing their job at that time. So these are the critical questions that we should ask.
Somebody should be held to account.
If these people have their documents, then they can be compensated if those houses must go down inevitably. But saving lives is the ultimate at this point in time.
Well, I mean, given that even the estate itself and the houses on it have been there for something in the region of 10 years.
Yeah.
Chamberlain, Markwe.
Look at that.
Oh, what's there to say?
Where do we start?
Where do we start? Where do you start? Is it from the racketeering that goes on, with land? We know that land is a finite commodity, and so it's very precious, especially land in a place like the Federal Capital Territory, which is highly valuable, highly sought after, and something that government alone allocates.
Look at that.
Well, in some instances, there's still people who are...
What you see below there, behind it, these are people watching their property, be destroyed because of poor planning, because of poor lack of government accountability, because of so many things. Let's listen on.
Traditionally recognized as landowners and as such can sell, but the safest type of land is the one that government itself allocates. And when it is not done in a very transparent process, when it is done on a basis of who knows who and who has and as such can sell, but the safest type of land is the one that government itself allocates. And when it is not done in a very transparent process, when it is done on a basis of who knows who and who has influence where, these kinds of things are not difficult to come by. These sort of situations are not difficult to come by. And then when you also see how developers themselves build, I mean, you can see that somewhere is very close to, or is close to a floodplain. You make no provisions whatsoever. I'm just looking...
This is poor government planning. And look at that.
Reaching conclusions with what I see here. But looking at the estate, when you look at the entrance, you see that the gate of the estate is quite high. And then you now see that you're descending a slope into the estate. So you have to ask questions as to, did they actually do a proper, environmental impact assessment before they started to build in this estate? I'm not saying that, engineering solutions are very possible when you realize, just where it is that you're building and, maybe you're able to feel the ground, dredge canals, understand that terrain properly before you build. But oftentimes, That never happens. What people just see is, oh, we've been given a parcel of land, and, you know, they move in and then they start to build. Now, whatever the situation is, I also think that it is highly hypocritical of the FCDA to now come how many years down the line, yes, as a result of flooding that this place has now experienced. In some instances, it has taken lives. This year, so far, we've had a very disastrous flooding, but thankfully, no life has been reported lost. The thing is, should we wait until lives are reported lost before the FCDA starts to move in? No, they shouldn't wait. However, there are deep questions that need to be asked. So if you say that they do not have a building plan, an entire estate doesn't have a building plan. Did they develop it overnight? Were the people in FCDA sleeping when were the people sleeping when...
Just look at everything there. Look, these are people there, and look at that. It's shocking, shocking, shocking.
When this estate was being built, did the FCDA not know that an entire estate was being built along a place as visible as the airport road here in Abuja? Because this estate is just along the way to the airport. It's somewhere in the right smack in the middle, you know, between Abuja, the main city, and the airport. So is it that officials, the government didn't know that such a thing was going on? Of course you and I know what must have gone under. Of course you and I know that, you know, there are certain underhand dealings that ought not to be, that could have gone for government to now say, oh, they had no approved building plan. I think that until we start to make scapegoats of those who say, of those who try to set...
This is why we're saying that we have all the laws. It's the application of those laws, the absence of the application of those laws that are the problem. That's the problem. And the only way that can happen is by our active participation. Again, I'm going to say again, Section 14.2a. Sovereignty belongs to the people of Nigeria, from whom the government derives, through this constitution, derives all its powers and authority. We need to really apply ourselves. We are the ultimate people to whom sovereignty belongs. We possess the power to hold our governance account, and we need to begin to use it together critically, collectively. Secondly, the participation in our governance. The participation by the people in the government shall be in accordance with the provisions of this constitution. Again, it goes back down to the first 14.2a. Talks about sovereignty. It's the using of that sovereignty through the participation process, active participation. I encourage us all. Please, if you haven't got a copy of that on your phone, then that's the first thing you need to do. Let us do something quickly to show you, because I do, you know that that's something I'm really, really hot on, just to raise the level of awareness. And that doesn't mean that I've forgotten, abandoned the Yoruba nation. That's not what I'm saying. But whilst we're in Nigeria, we need to use the things we have, that the powers that we possess in there, to improve our lives till such a time that we achieve Yoruba nation. And I don't think that's too much to ask. Let me just go here. Beg your pardon. So let me do this. Okay. So let's go in here. So what I will do is I'm putting this here. For those of you who are watching, you need to be familiar with that. I hope you know it. If you don't, I want you to be aware of it. That's why I'm putting it up there deliberately, so that we can all see it. So it says here, sovereignty belongs to the people of Nigeria, from whom the government, through this constitution, derives all its powers and authority. 1, 2. The participation, 14.2c, the participation by the people in the government shall be in accordance with the provisions of this constitution. We need to apply those powers and begin to use it to hold all our elected officials to account. If we start doing that collectively, they will not be able to avoid the laws that they imposed on us. And we are still walking towards the place where we are going to have a referendum inserted, a referendum clause inserted in the constitution. Then we can really begin to address the issues and concerns. So, but yeah. So 1 second, please. So yeah, let's carry on and watch this intro.
Convert proper government processes then we will continue to have situations like this until we hold people accountable. Because when people die, nobody asks questions as to, oh, you know, who, you know, how did this thing happen? Could it have been prevented? Who could we hold responsible for this? People just say, well, it was a disaster and the person died, and that was that. Until we say, look, every life matters, and this thing could have been prevented. Until we say, who can we hold responsible? Then we will continue to have situations like this. But don't be surprised that today it is Trademore, another day it might be another estate. By the way, these Lagosians, were they really pitying us in Abuja? I mean, the day Lagosians start to pity people living in Abuja, that is the day. But seriously speaking, Ayo and Bukola, it is a very sad situation. This morning when the rain started to pour, and these days, we have this type of rain that, you know, the amount of rain that should fall maybe over 3 hours decides to fall within 30 minutes. So the volume of water that pours from the sky is usually quite remarkable. And so
I think we need to be questioning, why are those waters pouring? Are you aware of something called a HAP? But anyway, we'll come and talk about that in depth later on. There are things that are going on that I will be talking about specifically in other broadcasts, but just think of the word HAP, and I'll come and explain that later on. There is something that is on sort of, you know, an unseen hand. It seems to be affecting things, but let us we'll come back and talk about that later on. But yeah, let's go back to the main topic so far, the flooding.
Incidences of flash flooding will not be uncommon, but I don't think that the sort that we're seeing in Trademore is something that we shouldn't find a solution to, and also find how to put consequences if indeed government says that things were not done properly.
Well, very well said, guys. And as a matter of fact, I mean, from that flooding perspective, if I could just chip in on that one here, because it was in June this year that the former speaker, now Chief of Staff, did raise a motion on the floor of the House after they had invited the DG of NEMA to shed a little more light on that flooding prediction, because what he said at the time was that the 2023 annual flood outlook prepared by Nigeria Hydrological Services Agency showed that 178 local government areas in 32 states and the FCT fell within the highly probable flood risk area. And he also did say, I mean, that his motion was actually titled, "Need to commence active measures to mitigate the probable devastation of a severe flood season and prepare palliative intervention to prevent the worst socio-economic consequences for Nigerians in the affected area." Because NEMA had said, look, we should prepare for the worst of the flooding in recent history, and if nothing is done about it, it is going to be devastating.
So it's clear that action is needed.
You know, the reason why all of these things feed into one another is that persons in those government agencies keep doing these things and keep getting away with all of these things. And at the end of the day, it is the people. They come and clamp down on people because, look, I know you may say people should do their due diligence before they go ahead and put their hard-earned money into those kind of schemes, but there's a defective system here. People hardly know what the real situation is. And when you go to make some of those checks, you could find out that you could check with 1, 2, 3, and they're all in the same scheme aimed at misleading you. And when agencies or when governments see those...
There is no accountability. There is no accountability. The only way you can achieve accountability is through participation in your governance, by holding them to account. Because don't forget, sovereignty belongs to you, every local government area, and we begin to use that power collectively. That is what we must do. It's not good enough to just say, oh, there's an issue. We have to be actively participating in resolving that issue, each and every one of us. That is the only way we'll get the things that we want in our local areas and reduce the incidence of flooding as such as is happening just right now.
I expect that they've done everything right because they're still standing several years down the line. So these are the kind of scenarios that needs to be addressed. And in addition to that one, now we know that there are several states that have been flooded, the municipalities year on year, but when these kind of predictions come through, you don't see any action whatsoever.
That's what I'm saying. That's where we come in. We must compel them collectively in all 774 local government areas to begin to take action on our behalf, because sovereignty belongs to us. We need to exercise that power. Really important. take a screenshot of what you see on here. Take a screenshot of it, and take a screenshot of that, and keep it and share it to all your local community right now. Let's carry on.
On their part to prepare the people or move them to a higher plane. All they do is, for most of them, they just wait, and then when this kind of thing happens, you give the people whatever it is you call it,
palliative and whatever.
Their livelihood, everything
is gone.
It's lost. So we have a challenge here in a society that we need to really address moving forward, and hoping that who knows? Well, now that the House will be resuming today, we'll see if any of such matters to them. They just wait, and then when this kind of thing happens, you give the people whatever it is you call it, and that is it. Their livelihood, everything is lost. So we have a challenge here in a society that we need to really address moving forward, and hoping that who knows? Well, now that the House will be resuming today, we'll see if any of such matters will be of any urgent national importance. All right, guys, that's it.
So, yeah, in closing, I just wanted to just state, I'm looking at the flooding issues here. It really brings to mind that unless we need to get into the mindset as citizens that we have to be actively participating in our governance on a daily basis. And that's why this program is really important. As you're watching, the song in the background says, how long will not going to suffer? If you just keep praying to your whatever, your Allah, and by the way, incidentally, there's a video I showed of a man that was a black man that's been moved away from the central area where they were praying in Mecca by two Arab men pushed away from the center, and he was saying, don't push me. So those of you need to really wake up from this religious enslavement that you're in, and really work together and focus on building your own community and infrastructure and your own culture. So there's a lot of work for us all to do, but it starts with us all actively participating in our governance. Section 14(2)(a), I'll remind you again, sovereignty belongs to the people of Nigeria, from whom the government through this constitution derives all its powers and authority. Section 14(2)(c), the participation by the people in the government shall be in accordance with the provisions of this constitution. These are things that we need to have memorized off head to our youngsters, children, teenagers, adults, university students, everybody, all parts of our community. We need to understand the enormity of the power we possess and how to use it. And that's what we're here to do. So this is a flooding issue now that's affecting somewhere in Kaduna, Trademore estate. I would like to. I'll probably do that later on. I was going to try and go into it now, but I don't want to spend too much time on that. Well, actually, you know what? I'm going to try and get you the. Let me just get something up quickly. 1 minute. So let me just type in something here. So I want to just text something here. What local government area? Let me just say. Trademore estates. Let me just see. So I'm just trying to just check something here. Okay, so it's actually Lugbe. This is actually in the Abuja area, So this is in Abuja. Trademore estate is in Abuja. So I'll quick. Let me just quick, since it says it's Abuja, Federal Capital Territory 3, the Federal Capital Territory. Let me just see. I'm just going to just look at the information. Then I'll just give you. We need to relate it to what is going on, and this is what you need to be taking action on. So Trademore estate, government plans on its approach to manage the menace declares. So mega city estate environs. Look at that. Just look at this. That's what's happening. So Ibrahim, I'm just showing you more information. Let's have a look. We will come back and look at that. So Trademore estate in Abuja. So we're going to do something. Let me just go into Abuja for you right quick. And I'll see. I'm trying to find what local government area that is. So as ever, you need to go into the monthly allocation for your local government area. You need to go down to the National Bureau of Statistics, click on the button, type in FAAC, then it will bring you this. I did this before. Here's one I prepared earlier, sort of thing. Here we go. So I'm going to quickly show you. We're going to go into Abuja quickly, because Abuja is still going to be on there. So Abuja is going to be one of the states on here. So you see how much the funds they have. There are funds. I mean, what is going on now? It really is quite Abuja. Let me see if they got Abuja there. They should have Abuja, shouldn't they? Interesting. They haven't got that. So it's the Federal Capital Territory. I thought they would, but it doesn't look like they have it on here. So I'm just gonna Abuja. No, okay. Let me just check here again. Just give me a minute. I'm just gonna try and check it quickly here. Yeah, so it doesn't look like they have that because it's a Federal Capital Territory. But that's the federal government. We need to look at that. So they haven't got that fund. But that's not to worry. The central thing is the fact that the flooding has hit, but it's poor governance. But like I said, it still doesn't remove the fact that your active participation is important. That's the only way you will be able to hold your governance to account. If you are not collectively participating in your governance, then nothing will stop. All of the infrastructural development and the careful planning and monitoring of where they situate houses, particularly around floodplains and all that, none of that will be dealt with appropriately, because we, the citizens to whom sovereignty belongs, who have the ultimate power, have not come together to hold those we elect to office to account. And we're trying to show you how to do that. So, of course, ladies and gentlemen, you're watching Citizen Wide, the platform where we speak truth to power. When you get the message, please do share. Help us spread the message out. And subscribe to Citizen Wide, hit the notification button, and, of course, give us the thumbs up. So let us, we will end it up here. We will wrap this up here. We'll come back shortly with further updates on different other issues as well. But keep in mind always, Section 42A, sovereignty belongs to the people of Nigeria, from whom the government, through its constitution, derives all its powers and authority. Section 42C, the participation by the people in the government shall be in accordance with the provisions of this constitution, which means that sovereignty belongs to you. With your sovereignty, you are the supreme power. Collectively, in every local government area, we are the supreme powers that those we elect into office must listen to, and they have to do our bidding. That's why the monthly allocation is really important for us to know of, to be able to hold them to account. This is how much you got. This is what we want you to use that money for. So we start, taking control, because we've let in the hands of the politicians, and look at what's happened. So please go ahead, subscribe to Citizen AY, hit the notification button, and of course, finally give us a thumbs up. Help us reach more people. So one more time, subscribe to Citizen AY, hit the notification button, finally give us a thumbs up. Thank you very much for watching. You've been watching Citizen AY, the platform where we speak truth power. If this resonates with you, please do share. Leave a comment. Thank you very much. Thank you. Bye for now.